All right, for more on the situation in the Middle East, we're joined now by former editor-in-chief for the Jerusalem Post, Avi Mayer. Avi, great to see you. So Prime Minister Netanyahu said, this week that a deal is not close. He says he wants a permanent Israeli presence in southwestern Gaza, despite opposition from Hamas, the U.S., and other key players. So it doesn't sound like anyone is getting close to a deal.
Well, Fabrika, I think the sentiments that you're seeing reflected in those protests in the streets are shared by many Israelis who feel that no matter what the circumstances are, no matter what the terms may be, the most immediate concern needs to be bringing back as many living hostages as humanly possible. We, of course, saw Hamas murder 6 hostages just last week. That has reverberated throughout this country, and the grief and the anger are palpable. I would say that we are actually perhaps inching closer. I wonder to what extent the Prime Minister's comments are actually something of a negotiating tactic to sort of ensure that there's some kind of Israeli presence. But he himself seems to express some kind of flexibility, even in his remarks just the other day, saying, I'm not envisaging a single Israeli soldier every 3 feet. Perhaps we could have early warning stations or some kind of more dispersed presence there. But it seems as though we may be reaching closer to some kind of a deal. And I know that is certainly something many Israelis want to see in the very near future.
These protests underway right now have swelled, in the week since the bodies of 6 hostages were recovered from Gaza. Is this public pressure, perhaps this time, is there any possibility that it might expedite or move towards some sort of progress?
Look, there is certainly that possibility. We know, based on comments from American officials, not only throughout the past few months, but even for the past few days, that the primary obstacle to an agreement really does remain Hamas, even as they wish the prime minister were being more forthcoming, was perhaps being more flexible in his demands. Hamas remains the primary obstacle, but I do think that there is this added pressure. There's this tailwind now behind the protests in Israel. Israelis are so frustrated and so outraged by the sight of those 6 hostages being brought back for burial in Israel that I think they feel that there's really no price, no cost that's too high to bring back whatever number of living hostages we possibly can at this point, and we'll deal with whatever security ramifications some point down the line.
Turkish President Recep Erdogan, is now condemning the killing of a Turkish-American activist in the West Bank this week. A local governor in the West Bank says an autopsy released today confirms that the 26-year-old was shot in the head. Her family blames the Israeli military. We even heard from our Matthew Chance as we look at these live pictures of the protests that incident is not necessarily top of mind for a lot of the people there. But I wonder, even with the Turkish president's point of view now, if any of this will offer any added incentive for the Israeli government to speak to an issue that is growing.
Well, the Turkish president has ceased being a constructive force in this region long time ago. I think that the incident that happened yesterday is certainly tragic. I know it's under investigation by Israeli authorities. The context, of course, is an uptick in terror activity in the West Bank. We know that just 1 week ago, the leader of Hamas, Khaled Mashal, called for an increase in suicide bombings. We know that there was an attempted suicide bombing not long ago and a whole spate of terror attacks there. So you see Israeli anti-terror activity taking place in the cities of the West Bank. Unfortunately, that woman appears to have been present at a violent riot that had to be responded to by Israeli forces. But this is all part and parcel of an attempt by Hamas to inflame not only the Gaza Strip, but the West Bank in order to ensure that Israel is fighting a war on multiple fronts. That, of course, is something that many Israelis do not want to see, but we'll have to see what happens in the weeks ahead.
All right, Avi Mayer, we'll leave it there for now. Thank you so much.